I'm in the provincial city of Battambang in northwest Cambodia, in the center of the country's rice bowl, where much of the country's grain, fruit, and vegetables are grown. It's an old city, first settled as a fishing village on the Sangkae River 1,000 years ago. There are tourists here, but tourism is more of a trickle as opposed to the flood of visitors who pour into places like Siem Reap. With about 150,000 people in a rural province of 1.5 million, Battambang has a different feel, where an unvarnished, authentic sense of Cambodia shines through. I came here from Phnom Penh on a big, comfortable bus of the giant Ibis line. It's about a 5-hour trip. And I realized this may have been a fluke, but I was the only passenger all the way from the capital. Just me, the driver, and a steward. The most relaxing and unusual bus ride I've ever had. Most visitors to Cambodia come to see ancient Anghor near Siem Reap and the capital Phnom Penh. But for those willing to venture off the beaten path, there's plenty else worth exploring here. Battambang is a fascinating place, a kind of Cambodian version of a Midwestern U.S. farm town meets former French colonial provincial capital with a twist of Thailand thrown in. The latter is owing to the fact that this part of Cambodia was annexed by the Kingdom of Siam, the predecessor to modern Thailand, in 1795. It became part of the Siamese province of Inner Cambodia. Over time, Battambang became an important trading post on the Sangkae River, which runs through the middle of town. There was a political shift here in 1907. That's when Battambang, both the city and region, were reunited with Cambodia as part of French Indochina. It ushered in a French flavor on top of the existing Thai influences. To this day, Battambang has characteristics that you wouldn't otherwise expect to find here.
My guest house in Battambang, the Muni Residence and Spa, is just across the river from the main part of town. It's a delightfully relaxing place on a quiet street, owned and operated by a family who know how to make you feel welcome. From the fruit plate and tea trotted out as soon as you walk in, to the fresh flower petals, an instant keepsake photo on the bed from the moment you're shown to your room.
As I told you, I rode the bus here from Phnom Penh, something the guest house people knew in advance. And as I get off the bus, a tuk-tuk driver rushes up, offering to take me.
Before I can even respond, another driver, it turns out, from the guest house, comes walking up with a sign and my name printed on it, announcing he's there to pick me up.
One of the joys of traveling. Nice things that happen when you least expect it. I'm here on the west bank of the river in the former French colonial part of town, established in the early 1900s. No one will confuse it with the streets of Paris, but as you can tell from the architecture and the layout, it's a radical departure from what would otherwise be here. The French are credited with having modernized Battambang. They laid out well-defined streets in a grid pattern, along with bridges and open canals. They added a train station to serve a new rail line linking with Phnom Penh. And they built what was, for its time, a swanky Art Deco style central market, which I'll show you up ahead. The bones of the French imprint here are clearly visible. One thing you notice right away, and I have no idea about its origin, is the numbering system for the streets in this part of town. I'm on Street 1, and the street one block over is Street 1.5, followed by 2, 2.5, and so on. It's kind of funky, but it works. If you saw my video from Phnom Penh, you may recall the beautiful Art Deco Central Market the French built there in the 1930s. They built this one at about the same time. This market is at the north end of the French colonial quarter, which encompasses about a dozen square blocks of the center of Battambang. There's a kind of lost-in-time quality about this place. There's, of course, very little that's French about it except for the architecture. And unlike its counterpart in Phnom Penh, It isn't in the middle of a thriving urban neighborhood, but it's authentic. And if you come here, you must have a look. On the surface, this market appears to be a long rectangular shaped pavilion that fills an entire city block. But in reality, it's a couple of pavilions separated by a narrow space where I'm walking, which probably one time was a little garden or maybe grand entrance area for the middle, but which is now full of eateries, with people selling the delicacies of the street just slightly off the street. People here call it the Not Market, and I wondered why, because maps clearly show it as Central Market. But a lifelong resident of Battambang explained to me that Not in the Khmer language is a word for meet or meeting. This market became the Not Market many years ago because it was a time before telephones, certainly before cell phones. Not many people had regular phones here for a long time. And it was common practice among young people and others, if you wanted to meet up with someone, you would say, let's meet at the market. And so before long, this became the meeting market, or Not Market. This city was long an important Khmer cultural center, long before either the Siamese or the French ruled here. It was a hub for Cambodian art, music, and culture for a very long time, with many famous Cambodian artists and singers born or raised here. But the city's arts community became a priority target for the Khmer Rouge during the Cambodian genocide of the 1970s, as people were driven out of the city and forced into the countryside as part of dictator Pol Pot's vain attempt to create an agrarian society. Artists of all kinds were at the top of the list of those who were, quote-unquote, disappeared. Battambang's art scene suffered a huge hit, but post-conflict, it's made a comeback. Battambang has numerous art galleries and workshops. A non-governmental organization provides free arts education for young people, and this city hosts an annual 3-day arts festival that's become a big deal in Cambodia. Battambang's reblossoming is impressive when you consider that even though the Khmer Rouge were driven from power in 1980, they didn't disappear. There were pockets of resistance in the Battambang region well into the 1990s. For people here, the wounds of the calamitous civil war are still fairly fresh.
Damresar Pagoda is the city's most celebrated Buddhist temple, begun to be built in 1904 near the end of the Inner Cambodia era of Siam control, or as Westerners often pronounce it, Siam.
The era of the province of Inner Cambodia was always a bit strange in that control of the region was invested in a Thai-speaking Cambodian family that was an offshoot of Cambodia's own royal family. A royal family, by the way, that willingly subjugated itself to the French after 1860 in return for protection from would-be rivals to the throne. The offshoots ruled Battambang on behalf of the King of Siam for 6 generations, starting in 1795 and ending in 1907, when the French maneuvered to have this region returned to French Indochina. The temple sanctuary itself is not open at the present time. I do not know whether that reflects just the time of day I'm here, or whether it's only open certain days of the week, but it is strictly impressive, even on the outside. Those who know their Buddhist iconography can tell you that this entire campus is filled with statues that reflect both Thai and Cambodian mythology. This, by the way, is a working temple complex with resident monks. Part of it is a Buddhist university, and yes, the Thai language is still taught here. That's why this temple complex was built in a hybrid style that reflects Thai-occupied Cambodia. One example, the Thai-style roof of the main temple. It not only has the Garuda, the little bird-like creature on the apex of each tier of the roof, something common to Buddhist temples in a lot of places, but you'll notice the ends of the gables, those snake-like creatures, or nagas, are distinctively Thai. Nagas are Thailand's official national mythological creature, decorating staircase rails at sacred Buddhist installations everywhere.
In English, this temple's name means white elephant, hence the two white elephant statues at its entrance.
Well, it is the breezy part of the day and a wonderful time to be walking along the waterfront here on the Sangkae River. People are out and about as they do in the late afternoons and the early evenings when the sun goes down and the heat breaks. Lots of families here. Before there were any highways that connected this town, which is way out in the provinces, to Phnom Penh. But even today, tourists who come here sometimes choose to go on to Siem Reap by water, which you can do by merely taking the river to Tonle Sap Lake, sailing across the lake to a port that is near Siem Reap, and grab a ride from there. The guest house where I'm staying, I saw an advertisement for boat trips to Siem Reap for $30 US. I probably will not take that boat trip. I think I'll stick with the good fortune I've had riding the buses here in Cambodia. This is in some ways the best part of the day. How are you guys? They want to shake my hand.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. And the children, as you see, as they are in so many places in Southeast Asia, extremely open and friendly.
Maybe because the older generation here suffered so much, Cambodians seem determined to squeeze simple pleasures out of each day. At least that's the impression one gets on the streets of Battambang at nightfall.